Hello and welcome to this week's IG Live. My name is Liana and today we are going to be talking to author Gauri Dalvi Pandya. And you may know her from because she's a recent honor winner of on the Padiba Intersectionality Awards. That's the Pedro and Daniel Intersectionality Awards that just started this year. And so we're very excited to have her on to talk to you about her book, A Kurta to Remember, which I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with. So we're going to get, as always, process and what she was hoping to achieve with the book, which is really lovely picture book. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy with me because I think somebody was really enjoying it at our library, so I haven't been able to get my copy in yet, but I know she has a copy to share with you. Hi, so good to see you.
Hi, so good to see you too, Liana. Thank you so much for this.
Yes, well, thank you for joining us today. It's so nice to get to talk with you in person. Why don't we jump right in and you can introduce yourself and tell us what your journey was to becoming an author.
So my name is Gauri Dalvi Pandya, and I was born and brought up in India. After working in the advertising industry as a writer in 3 countries, I am now a children's picture book author and illustrator based in Chicago. And my stories essentially are deeply rooted in the Indian culture, but also having a universal message to share with children all over the world. And a journey to becoming an author. So officially, I took it seriously in 2018 when I joined SCBWI 12 by 12, attended workshops and seminars, founded fantastic critique group. And so that's how I got into it, like, seriously. But of course, after my daughter was born, when she was little, we were reading picture books. And the library is so fantastic because it allows you to check out like 50 books at one time. So we would lug all the books home. And it was such a beautiful journey of just exploring a picture book through a child's eyes, because sometimes it's the pictures that take the story forward, sometimes it's the text, and sometimes the child is just lost in all the things that the book has to offer. So somewhere I think I had a feeling that maybe one day I could also write a book which was again based on my culture, but also sharing it with everyone around.
And we should mention that although A Kurta to Remember, which a lot of people know you from, is your first traditionally published book, but you have other books that are available on Amazon that we'll talk about a little later on. But so people should know there's more. If they really love that book, there's more that you have. But let's talk about A Kurta to Remember. It was recently chosen as Pedro and Daniel Intersectionality Book Award Honor Book, and it was also an Own Voices, Own Stories Award winner. So tell us about the book and what was your inspiration for it?
So I'm super grateful for that honor. It was such a pleasant surprise to even be nominated in that that esteemed set of authors, some of the wonderful authors. So I was deeply honored, and it was a fantastic surprise to hear. Also, the Own Voices, Own Stories Award, which was conducted by Sleeping Bear Press, which actually landed me the publishing contract for A Kurta to Remember. And so the book is essentially about, this is a story of a little girl who's moving to a new country. And while the parents are packing up all the important stuff, the little girl worries that she's going to go far, far away from her grandparents. But the grandmother obviously has a fantastic idea, and she sews her handmade kurta. Kurta is something that is worn in India by a lot of people, by like young girls, older girls, women, old women. And while she's sewing this kurta and adding things in the pocket, the little girl is like, oh, I have a better idea. How about we sew kurtas for y'all too? So that we can share all the things and memories with each other. And then, they would not feel so far away eventually. Yeah. So that is the story of the book. The inspiration, Liana, how a lot of children have stuff in their pockets. There's something about collecting things in the pockets. And I would find, like, from flowers to weeds to ribbons to stickers, even a piece of apple sometimes in the jacket pocket. And I remember we were leaving for dinner to go to a restaurant, and my daughter carried a sellotape with her. And I was just curious, like, why would you carry a sellotape? So you never know, just in case. So for us, while they are mere things, she had deeper connections with all of these things. And I remember that when we had come back from one of our trips from India, and I was cleaning out all her jacket pockets, I found like these, bangles and rings and a list of things written by my mother, her grandmother. And she had just kept all these papers and little pieces in her pocket. And she reminded me, don't throw anything away. It's from Aaji. It's from her grandmother in India. So somewhere it stayed in my mind that while I might see them as things, she was seeing it as deeper connections.
Mm.
So that's what essentially led me to write A Kurta to Remember. Of course, it went through many, many revisions. It was not called this. It was not written like this. But the essence was the same. And also, I think when you're on a writing journey, you're also finding your own voice, finding yourself in the book. So that's how, with every revision, I think it got deeper and deeper. And that's how then A Kurta came about.
I love that. And that's such a beautiful origin story. I think every parent can kind of relate to finding these odd things in children and their children's pockets. But I love that you saw it as something more than just like, oh, why does my daughter have these weird little bits of things? But you saw it as something much, much bigger, like she did. I love that. And I also thought it was interesting that, there are other books that talk about like trying to maintain connections when somebody moves, but or trying to celebrate heritage. And a lot of times it's associated with things like foods, but I don't think it's often with things like clothing. So what gave you, I mean, what do you think is the kind of, I mean, you've talked about like kind of the inspiration behind it, but what made you think of using this as a central metaphor, and like what place does clothing have in kind of making these connections and celebrating heritage? Because it's not just any pockets, it's the pockets in the kurta that she's using.
That's true. So when you can't be in India, you end up carrying India with you, and you carry India with you wherever you go in so many forms: language, food, things, books, and then of course clothing. And because kurta is such a common attire in India, like I said, like from young girls to like older women to women wearing them, and of course my daughter also had kurtas. So the beauty was that, the kurta is the deepest connection there, which kind of holds everything together. And when the pockets come in, it's just an easy catalyst to carry all the things that I would want her to carry with her, also leave behind for her grandparents. So I think it just clicked, and it just worked out beautifully.
And I love how this also goes back to what you were talking about. On the one hand, it's very specific to India because you're talking about the kurta, but on the other hand, it's very universal that every parent can relate to the pockets and every child knows about that. So I love how you kind of pull those together. And I should mention, I've seen on your Instagram, if anybody hasn't gone to look at your Instagram, how you talk about doing that at school visits, how you would make, I don't know, was it out of paper, like little paper kurtas, and people, I mean, the kids can put things in them for their grandparents.
Yeah, author visits are, I think I really love author visits, because of course you share the book with children, but after, when you open up the discussion, there's so much that they want to share with you and tell you. And even though the story was based in India, it was an Indian girl and the grandparents look Indians, the kids just connected instantly, because when I asked them, what is it that you would like to put in your pockets for your grandparents? They went from like, I'll put a flower, I'm going to put like some medicine, because in case she forgets, she knows it's in the pocket. One kid even went on to say, I'm going to put little money, because if she goes out and she has forgotten her wallet, maybe she'll have money there. And then it was not just things that they would want to put, but also cultural connections. Like one of them said, we have this tradition of making pie at home, so I'm going to put a piece of pie in the jacket pocket for my grandparents. And they all started to talk about what they do at home, even though it might not be common to everybody, but it's deeply rooted in their culture and specific to them, which they would like to put in the pockets. So I think it's a great exercise to just see how it just connected universally with all the kids.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what resonated with them, like you said, is that is this connection between children and their grandparents, and that's something that seemed they really connected with. What do you think it is about that relationship that children just really gravitate towards?
I think grandparents are not parents, so they are pretty not, like into you should do this or you should do that and wake up early and don't eat this and don't eat that. They will be willing to cook and make like these delicious dishes and, teach them stuff, garden with them. So I think somewhere it's this, they are not a parent, but they are still this taking care, looking after and having fun with them. So somehow kids just kind of find some comfort in that relationship. So like my mother, who also would love to cook, she will make like sweet things and sweet Indian dishes without worrying about are they eating too much sweet, are they eating less sweet. It's just the love language that comes out, I think.
And this book also talks about fears children might have moving far away from loved ones, going to a new culture, maybe having distance from in this case the grandparents. What do you hope that children take away from this book?
Essentially, I think it would be that even though you are miles away physically from them, you are never really far away from your loved ones. Like no matter you might have a special language that you talk with them, you might have a connection where it's a game that you have with them. So it's not about, hey, I am not there physically with you. Yes, of course you'll miss that, but also you're not very far away. You could talk to them, you could share with them, and like write letters or share recipes or share like your day-to-day things. So that was what the crux of the book was also, that you are never really far away from your loved ones.
Right. And also not it's also about connection to heritage as well, right?
Yes, it's important because while we think that yes, these are all common things that go into the pocket, but like in the book also, there are specific things that the girl also puts in her pockets. Like the grandpa gives her a small diva, which is a small lamp, which you would see in most Indian Hindu households, because it's like a common element there. So culturally also, you're bringing in a lot of stuff which have a deeper connection, not just as the relationship, but the things also that stand for that culture.
Right, right. Um, I'm also curious because you're also an illustrator, which if people haven't gone to your Instagram, they should. It's really fun to all the drawings you, because a lot of times they're just like little funny things about being a parent or, really cute things. But so what was the process for you of deciding that, okay, this time I'm going to have somebody else illustrate my book? Or was that hard to kind of give that up, or was it nice to just say, okay, I'm just going to focus on the text? What was that like for you?
So yes, I was just focusing on the text, and the Instagram account, like you said, it essentially came out of as a creative vent when I had just quit my job and I was looking for something to write and illustrate. And then it became like a seamless thing of, hey, I can just document my ups and downs as a parent, as a new parent. And while my illustration style is way different, I think when I saw the cover page of A Kurta to Remember, Avani Dwivedi, who's done such a fantastic job illustrating it, because I think what's brilliant is she's got like the grandma, the nuances of, someone who comes from the western region of India, like the body language, the things that are around the house. I think she just nailed it completely. And when I saw it and shared the cover with one of my friends in India, she was like, "Oh, I know this grandma. I know she would be someone who's living next door."
Right.
Like the hair, the body language, the specs and everything. So I think I was extremely happy to see how Avni just brought the whole thing alive. And I think it took the text like 10 times ahead after her illustrations came in. So I was not worried actually.
It is really gorgeous for anybody who hasn't seen the book yet. But we did talk about that you had books that you've written previously. I don't know if you want to show them, because we wanted to talk about the Shine program, which is Spiritual Heritage of India for Next Gen Empowerment, which is sharing Vedic culture with children. So tell us about that and why that's so important.
So yes, the Shine program, which is Spiritual Heritage of India for Next Gen Empowerment, is a fantastic program. It's geared towards 6 to 12-year-olds, and what's wonderful is that while we are also so focused on a child's emotional well-being, physical well-being, their social development, I think spiritual development and a strong spiritual foundation for a child is equally important. And sometimes while we are focusing on the other things, we kind of miss out on, hey, what is the spiritual foundation for a child? And India being so rich spiritually with such a glorious spiritual heritage, I felt like it needed to be shared, to be loved, and to be lived by children. So while I benefited so much from it, and I saw that my daughter benefited so much from it, I just thought it was a great blessing which had to be shared. And then when I got trained as the Shine teacher, it was wonderful to have these conversations and, like these little exercises where children go deeper than what is an everyday thing and also learn to solve problems in an efficient way. So for Shine, actually, I have these books which are published on Amazon. One is called My Hands, and the other is called Dadaji's Delicious Dabba. And also what Shine has, like, the Sanskrit language. So beautiful chants that are there in the Sanskrit language. It talks about these little chants for children. So it's easier for them to understand. The illustrations are like fun and easy. And also, while they learn this, it's not just about learning something new, but it also, improves memory, focus, concentration. So overall, it was a great children's book to have on this spiritual heritage.
Yeah, and people can find out more. I know I saw it on your website, and I think you have a bunch of videos also that people can.
That's correct, on Shine, and the books are available on Amazon. So yes, please do go and check it out.
So I'm curious because we're talking about all these books that into children's spiritual education, cultural heritage, and so on. And you started off in advertising. So I'm curious. I assume, I don't know. I know there are a lot of different aspects to advertising. Were you doing a lot of writing there? And does it feel very different than the kind of writing that you're doing now? Was that hard to switch, or was it just allow you to be more creative, or what do you think?
So with the advertising writing, I think probably what I enjoyed most, that it had a visual and the text medium. So like you always work as a copy and the art team. So sometimes the art tells the story, sometimes the copy tells the story. And also growing up, I loved reading these famous Indian comics called Tinkle and Chacha Chaudhary, and stories of this little girl called Pinky, which again had visual and text going on. So I think somewhere it was there in my mind. And advertising also probably teaches you to write something in short, like a 30-second visual thing, right? So that was definitely like a great stepping stone. Writing a picture book, yes, is very different because there are page turners. You have to be like short, and also you have to keep the child in mind. It can't be boring. It can't be preachy. You have sounds. You can use sounds when you write the picture book. So when I remember when I started this journey, I had read somewhere that in whichever category you want to write, make sure you've read like a minimum of 500 books. So I think it was also in my mind that maybe I should read 500 picture books, and just to understand what goes on in that kind of writing. So it helped in many ways because I had the visual strength, and I knew that, if I cut words here, the illustrator can pick it up from there. So that balance kind of helped me in the writing process, definitely.
And I know you had worked, you said, in 3 different countries. Do you think that, especially having the visual meaning, did that help you with your storytelling, that, okay, I have to make sure I can reach people who are not from the same background, or how did that kind of inform how you did picture books?
That's correct. And that's, again, a fantastic thing because at the end of the day, it's the human insight, right? We all feel the same. We want the same things. We need the same things. So even if the story might be different, but the human insights all over the world would be the same. And I think that was a great base also when I started to write my stories, that even though I was writing from my culture, from my point of view, it resonated with everybody because it was a universal feeling of separation, of going away from your grandparents.
Mhm.
And every kid would feel that, even if even if they're like 4 blocks away, or even if they're
Right.
like 400 miles away. So yeah, it was even if it was different countries, the feeling, the essence of advertising writing is always the same because it comes from a human insight.
Oh, that's beautiful. And so what's next for you? Do you have any?
So next, in terms of, I recently won I was a finalist at the PB Party, which is a fantastic online contest, which is run by Mindy.
Mhm.
And she has these extremely fantastic judges who kind of go through so many manuscripts. And I was lucky enough to win. So it kind of opened my avenues, and it got me visibility in terms of more agents and more editors could see it. So my stories are out on submission, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that hope something pans out. But yes, in the meantime, my other Amazon work is going on, so it's a good balance right now.
Do you think that do you enjoy staying with picture books, or what kind of age group do you think that you'll be writing for?
Right now, I am writing picture books. I have not attempted a chapter book yet, though I love reading chapter books, but I don't know if I have the patience to write that many words yet. So yeah, so right now I'm sticking to picture books.
Oh, well, beautiful. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. And whatever your next project is, we'll be sure to share about it when we see it. And for anybody who's joining us late, as always, this will be up in a few minutes on Instagram, and we'll have it later on our YouTube channel. So thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you so much, Liana. This was wonderful. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, and thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.